Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. We are pleased to have one of our partners with us, Bob McAdam from Cavallo, and along with Alex Schulis. And they will be presenting on increased sales and inventory visibility with no-code workflows for Business Central. And as a reminder, we are recording this webinar, and we will post it to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And you can find our library under our resources tab on our website at inovia.com. And we do encourage you to ask questions during our presentation, so please feel free to type them into the questions box and we will get them answered during our Q&A time at the end of our session. So now I'm going to turn it over to Bob to kick off our presentation.
Okay, Angie, thanks very much. Good day, everybody, and welcome. We're so pleased to be presenting in front of the Inovia Consulting audience today, talking about increasing sales, better inventory visibility, and workflow process for your Dynamics 365 Business Central environment. I'm Bob McAdam. I nurture strategic partnerships here, mainly with great resellers like Inovia, and I'm joined by Alex Schulis. He's a senior product manager here at Cavallo and someone who knows this system and this functionality very well. So the agenda today is just talk about why we're here, what add value that we add, talk about our solutions, talk about our history with writing solutions for Microsoft Dynamics, and then we'll jump into the meat and potatoes with Alex, and he'll show off all the diligent work that our development team has been doing of late to bring great value and great functionality to Business Central. Afterwards, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A, so if you have anything that you want to ask us, you can hold off to the end or type it in the chat during the presentation, and we'll be happy to answer your questions as best we can. All right, so Cavallo has been in existence for almost 20 years. In fact, September is our 20th anniversary, so we're looking forward to that. And we have been writing code primarily for distribution, but also light manufacturing and some other industries for almost 20 years. So we have served 1,000 companies, 20,000 users, and created over $100 million in value, right? Our offerings help your top line increase. Your salespeople and customer service people become more efficient. Our processes and our workflow and our visibility across orders and customers and inventory creates value and makes your salespeople and others in your organization more efficient. And when people are efficient and working diligently and have the proper tools to function each day, they're going to be more profitable and more efficient and just overall happier, just like your customers who will get a great end product expected as they've ordered. So our retention rate in this space is 96%, which I think is really awesome. And we have a matching NPS of 96. If you know anything about Net Promoter Score, you know that a 96 value is really excellent. In the background of this particular slide, we have some of our bigger customers, okay? Gorilla Glue, Sunbum, Hungry Howie's, Blender Bottles, Summer Infant, companies that are leveraging our technology and our functionality to scale their businesses each and every day. So we're pleased to have them on our list of customers, and we look forward to growing that list in the Business Central space with our friends at Inovia. So what really helps with our efficiency and all that we offer here at Cavallo is our customer grade user experience. All of our screens are clean and neat, easy to utilize, easy to train. Your salespeople, your customer service reps will get up to speed quickly on all offerings of Cavallo, whether it's workflow or order management or managing customers or looking at inventory. They'll all be up to speed quickly and their efficiency will increase right away. You will find that the investment you're making with our offerings will pay for itself in short order because your colleagues will be in that much better shape and working harder and building a better top line, which always builds a better bottom line. When Alex gets into the demo, you'll clearly see that there's been a lot of thought put into our design and easy to use tools that will make your business more productive. we are anxious to show that off today. So here's a quick slide on the problems we solve, and I'm not going to go through all of it, but some of the ones on here that we help with are with efficient order entry, right? When your sales resources and your customer service resources are on the phone with people, trying to manage orders, they need to be efficient. And the more efficient they are, the faster the process is going to go, the more accurate it's going to be. It's going to just be a better experience for them. Limited margin control. We have business rules in our offerings that check margin, right? That's something our owner here at Cavallo has been beating the drum on for a long time. If orders and line items are going out without proper margin, you're not going to be in business very long. You need to manage that. You need to manage your inventory. You need to manage customers and orders to the best of your ability. So we want to give out we want to solve the poor order visibility problem and make sure that your colleagues have visibility across the entire company, inventory, customers, what have you, so that they're always efficient. And of course, inventory availability and being able to manage all that properly, given the fact that inventory is probably the largest item on your balance sheet, is really important. So we're solving some of the problems around customers and orders and inventory, and our workflow will improve your processes internally so that everyone that you work with will be more efficient. This is the customer to cash cycle. Okay, this is our wheelhouse at Cavallo. From the time an order comes in until the time you collect the proper amount of money and place it in the bank, that's our wheelhouse. That's where we excel. So with Cavallo for Dynamics 365 Business Central, we have our order management dashboard and the workflow that you'll see today that'll improve your internal processes so that you can run at 100% efficiency. The ability to manage orders and customers is very easy, and we have a credit card processing tool as well. We are nicely integrated with others in the space around warehouse management and shipping, so your solution around all these areas can be complete. We have excellent integration with Business Central. We have excellent integrations with other third parties. We want to be part of your full solution around the sales and inventory side of the house. All right, all that having been said, it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of all this, and that means Alex will jump in here and show us around and show us all the great functionality that our development colleagues have been busy with of late. Alex.
Nice, thanks, Bob. Let's just make sure we get the right buttons pressed. And can everybody see my mission control screen, Bob? Can you confirm that by any chance?
I cannot see it yet.
Okay. Angie, are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you're good.
Perfect, thank you. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, before we kind of dive into some of the features and functionality, one of the great things about Cavallo's product for Business Central is that we can get this up and running very, very quickly. And what that typically means is we've got about a 1 week, 2 week implementation, and then it's just a business conversation with your organization, with the stakeholders that really kind of need to help us design a specific process. Now, what is that specific process? That's exactly what we really excel at, is being able to help you define the process, being able to help you optimize that process, and then really make sure that orders, as they're flowing into your system, are doing exactly what you need them to do at the right time. And so when we look at the mission control page here, what this is really kind of the home for your entire business. So everybody in the organization can have full visibility into your curated process. Right? Do you have to, get a deposit for a specific order? Do you need to get credit card information for specific orders? Or we've got documents that are partially back ordered or fully back ordered. We may have cut the PO and we're just waiting for the PO to come, or for the inventory to arrive from the vendor. We can help provide visibility into all of those steps in your process with this mission control screen. So you can see exactly how much money you have sitting in this example in my waiting for product. Okay, I went and actually cut the PO for all of these orders. It looks like I've got about $18,000 in revenue there. Is that what's happening? Is there anything I can do to kind of accelerate my overall process? And you'll get immediate visibility into what's happening here. You also get kind of a sneak peek into what products are on the order, or if there happen to be something like a related document, what we can also do is generate all of these appropriate related documents so you can get visibility into those. So if you have a related purchase order, if you have a related shipping document, or anything of that sort, you'd be able to easily have access into that information as your CSRs are communicating to your sales rep, as your warehouse people are wondering what's going on. They'll get full visibility into that. And so one of the things you can do here too is really send information to the warehouse exactly when you want to and not before. So as you're working for working on a sales document, you might want to create conditions that prevents documents from going further than they should without meeting all the conditions and criteria that you've set for your business. And then at the top here, what we have is really kind of this approvals section, and these are all powered by Cavallo's business rules. And what these really are kind of the guardrails for your business so you can make sure that everything in your process is going exactly the way you want it to go. So in this example, we've got a margin check business rule. And this just makes sure that no documents get out the door below the margin that I've set, or delivery date approval, right? So what this one will do is just simply capture the sales documents that have a delivery date that are, say we can get it out in the next day. I know for my specific business model, I can't get it out in a day. This is going to go and capture that document and force it to go through an approval process. You may want to say, okay, let's get it out to tomorrow. Let's stop everything and get this specific order out the door because it's really important. You may make that business decision, but what this is doing is surfacing this document so that you can have those human conversations with your colleagues. If you do have kind of the permission to approve the document, all you would have to do is click on this little 3 dot here, click approve or reject, and you can see exactly what you're evaluating. And the person that submitted this document says, hey, can you do this? Sure, maybe, maybe not, right? And you're also going to explain yourself. If you're going to reject it, maybe you want to explain yourself as to why they want to reject it. But from here, the salesperson, the CSR that's putting in the document, they're given a chance to kind of explain themselves. Then I would consume that as the approver. And so this is super, super dynamic and gives you the ability to kind of customize this to specific needs. So let's show you a little bit about how this is actually built on the back end. So if we go into our workflow engine and then go into order workflows, what we're going to see here is really kind of the specifically how the workflow is made. So in this example, we have a bunch of different queues on the left-hand side. These would be curated for your specific business. So we could have a new order, needs deposit, need credit card, but these could be, Alex Shellhaus's queue and then Bob McAdams' queue and whatever you want. You could create these to be exactly what your business needs. And then on the right-hand side, what we really have is kind of the conditional routing. As we move documents throughout your process, we could say, okay, what should actually happen here? So all documents are going to flow into the new order queue by default. A brand new order is created. The team is going to be working on it a little bit, and then we'll constantly be evaluating conditions on the sales documents and then move them forward as necessary. So I have a couple of different paths set up here. One is really kind of my shipped path, and then I have an action. And then I have 3 different branches that this document could potentially go down based on the parameters I have set up. So one example is just the shipped status. So if the document has all of shipped, really this is just meaning if the document's been fully shipped, go ahead and move it to create the invoice. Now, what you can do is do things like trigger automated actions as a result here, right? So maybe you want to move it to the create invoice queue. Let's go ahead and authorize on their credit card, or maybe you want to capture a credit card or take a sale, or maybe you want to send an email report or create the pick document. There's a bunch of different actions that you can take on these sales documents to really kind of automate this process. To illustrate this a bit, let's go ahead and email a report, and we could say, all right, let's go ahead and create a work order. Let's send the warehouse pick instructions, or maybe we want to send the customer the pro forma invoice. We could select the template that we want, make the reply to the sales rep. So the sales rep is always going to be included in this conversation with the customer, and then have the send to be the shipping address as an example, right? And this will send out a pro forma invoice automatically for you, so you don't have to actually do that. The system can take care of this for you. And these conditions can really be built very, very complexly, or as simply as you'd like. So maybe as an example here, we need a deposit. Let's go ahead and create the needs deposit path. And in this example, we've got if the document status has all of needs payment, go ahead and move it to the needs deposit queue. But maybe I don't want to get a deposit on every single document. What I could do then is add another condition that says, hey, a field from the order, in this case, the total, is more than a certain amount. And then in this case, let's just go ahead and say $1,000. And what this is going to do is require any document that's over $1,000 that needs payment to go to the needs deposit queue. But you could continue to stack these on top of each other. So maybe you only need a deposit for, let's say if it's a terms order, right? So if it's you could use things like payment terms, right? So if the payment terms are something specific, or if you want to check a field from the customer, maybe you have a specific customer class, or if you tier your customers, maybe you need to do that. If they've got a bunch of, if they've got a large balance, then you need to get a deposit, right? And so you can use all sorts of different conditions to drive routing of these sales documents any way you'd like. And so there's just a couple more examples around back orders and priority picking. But one of the really powerful things we have here is this business rules concept. And this is what actually builds kind of the foundation of that approval section on the mission control page that we showed you. Here I just have a few examples set up, margin check, and what this is going to do is evaluate documents. So if the margin percent is less than 0.2%, or basically 20% in this case, and the total is more than $1,000, go ahead and capture this document, require it to go through an approval process. We don't want to check every single document for margin. We only want to check sizable orders for margin, right? If we send out loss leaders, or if we're communicating to a specific customer, we might not want to check every single order, right? Or what we often see quite a bit is using this as kind of a training opportunity as well. So a field from the order. In this case, let's go ahead and select a salesperson. And so if the salesperson is one of these people, Ben, let's say Ben is a new sales rep. I don't quite trust him yet. He's putting in a bunch of really big orders below ideal margin. This gives us an opportunity to say, okay, Ben, we're going to go ahead and require large orders to go through an approval process from now on. Now, who has the ability to approve this? Whether it's, okay, Ben's putting in a bunch of new orders. Well, Alex Shellhaus has the ability to approve it. But you can also add multiple approvers, right? So maybe I want to go ahead and add Brian here. So now multiple people can actually continue to push this forward. If I happen to be on vacation, Brian can take care of it, right? And so you can build all sorts of really complex conditions here that really are kind of those guardrails for your business. Maybe Ben is doing a good job. We can go ahead and remove that now. I don't need to build in those types of guardrails for Ben, and then we're good to go. We have things like credit check, right? So if the balance due is more than the credit limit on the customer, force this again to go through an approval process. So you could build these business rules really, really dynamically so that they meet your business's specific needs. The other component we have to workflow is really kind of these automated actions. And what these are going to do is really evaluate your business and the sales documents within your process all the time and listen for things changing throughout that process. So as an example here, if the document status has all of picked, meaning if a document has been fully picked, we're all set and the warehouse team has picked it, why don't we go ahead and push that forward to the next queue? And we could do this right here. And this is just going to be constantly monitoring your process. You could do things like create an invoice, right? So if the document has been fully shipped, let's move it forward throughout the process, right? And what this is really going to do is automatically generate the invoice for you. So humans don't have to actually do this. It can be done with the system. And it's going to save you a ton of time as a result. But you could build brand new ones, right? Maybe you wanted to evaluate certain conditions. You could evaluate certain conditions. So if the document status has all of, maybe it's been shipped, or if it's released or needs a payment, or you can evaluate all sorts of different options. If there's an open shipment, you might want to move it forward. Or if it's back ordered, what this could do is things like generate a purchase order automatically for you, so that you don't, if you're doing demand-based purchasing, we can have the workflow engine generate the purchase orders for you exactly when it makes sense and not before or after. So lots of capabilities here. I'm going to leave without saving. and then just kind of show you practically how this works as you're actually, working on sales documents, as you're working through your process. So I'm going to go back to mission control. And from here, what I'm going to do is put in a brand new order. Wherever you are in the application, you're always going to have access to this little plus button. And what that does is really just allows you to create all sorts of new things. So I'm going to go ahead and click new, and then let's go ahead and actually generate a new order, in this case for a Datum Corporation. And this is going to create a brand new order. And as a part of the integration between Cavallo and Business Central, we're actually generating an order in Business Central at the exact same time. So this order is actually not stored out in Cavallo, it's stored out in Business Central, which means everybody in your organization, whether they're in Business Central or whether they're in Cavallo, they're always going to be looking at the exact same information. There's no difference in the actual information from here. So I've created this brand new order. You can see I can't really do anything with it yet. I've set up my workflow to say, okay, let's wait until we've added products to the document. From here, I can see a few different things about the sales document, right? So I can see it's in my new order queue by default, and then I can customize this if I want. So if I want to change overview, you could go ahead and call this Alex's stuff, and then I could, move things and add different fields. If there's a field in Business Central, we can add that to the sales document. Excuse me. Let's just go ahead and cancel that for now. You'll get the billing information, shipping information, and summary information. From here, you can make some minor changes and tweaks to the document. Maybe I want to change the card payment to a credit card payment because I know I want to actually take a payment. And then before we add products to it, I want to show you the activity log. And what this is really kind of the activity log kind of tells the story of a sales document, right? As it's progressing through your process, this will track every single thing that's happening on your sales document. So you can see, hey, Alex Shalhas created the order. Alex Shalhas had updated the payment method from bank transfer to card payment. And so it's just a really readable and consumable activity log. So if people are making all sorts of different changes, they're doing, giving away a bunch of margin, they're changing the price from, $100 to $1,000 back to $5. Okay, you can track all of that information here and be able to consume that in a really readable way. And then maybe you're asking yourself, okay, what's Alex Shalhas been doing on this specific order? You could filter down to the specific users and say, just show me activity for where the user is, in this case, Alex Shalhas. And that's just going to limit this view to only show me things that Alex has been doing. So you could use this as a training tool. You could use this as an opportunity to figure out what might have gone wrong with the order. And it's really, really powerful. You'll be able to see payments, related documents, anything that's generated on behalf of this order. Now, when I look at actually entering and adding items to the order, there's a couple of different ways I can do that. One is by opening up the inventory drawer, and we'll get visibility into exactly what's happening in my warehouse. So I've got, all of my chairs here. I can see how much I have on hand, how much I have available across each of my warehouses. So in this case, I'm running 4 different warehouses. I can see that I've got 50 at my East warehouse. 9 of those have been allocated. So it looks like I've got 41 available to, potentially add to this order. And so you can see all of this information really when it's most critical, right? When you're entering in the sales document for the customer. So we could select multiple of these and add those to the sales document. So that's one way we could create the order. Or we can click this add products item and go ahead and select a Paris guest chair. This is actually going to be added to the sales document. And then all of a sudden, right, I can move it to the needs deposit queue because it actually has products on the order now. From here, let's just go ahead and make it my East warehouse. We can, adjust the quantity a little bit. Let's change that to 3. And then if I go to the quantity allocated field, I can see, again, right where it matters, I can see exactly, all right, I've 0 back ordered, 234 on hand, 64 allocated, 170 available. So it looks like I can go ahead and allocate this if I want to for the customer. You can see how much has been allocated, how much has been shipped, and so on. And of course, you can add comments and other things to the sales document. So it becomes really, really powerful for users. Now, just to kind of showcase a little bit about how our business rules work in real time, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm feeling really generous, and I want to give this customer a big, hefty discount so that I can close this deal, right? And immediately what we get is feedback from the system that says, okay, you violated the business rules, right? So I can open this and say, okay, the discount check, I violated that condition. I was below what I need to be at. I could choose to submit this, right? Maybe I have a valid business reason to say, okay, I gave them a discount. I gave it to them because I believe this is going to add to, lead to additional sales down the road. That may be maybe something that you want to explain to your manager. We have a deal open with them. It should close next week. You've given yourself a chance to kind of, if you want to explain yourself, you can do that right in the business rules when it gives you kind of a higher probability that it'll actually be approved by your manager, right? From here, I'm just going to go ahead and discard that. Let's change the discount back to 0. And then one of the other things that is really, really powerful here is the ability to kind of allocate inventory. So I could click on this little checkbox here and then allocate the lines if I want. So let's just go ahead and allocate the lines. In this case, I can see the order's been fully allocated. The status is allocated then, but I'm still going to the needs deposit queue. So that's just one way to kind of allocate inventory, but you can also do that up here. So you can allocate inventory this way, or you could cancel the allocations. Let's just go ahead and cancel the allocations. What we typically recommend is that you do that as a part of the workflow. So that, all right, I want to allocate inventory only when I say, and now you would kind of build in those guardrails with the workflow engine so that you can say, okay, we only allocate under these conditions. And it would do that as it progresses through your overall process. So let's go ahead and say, I'm comfortable with this. I'm the CSR. This is exactly what the customer wants. Now we move it to needs deposit. And from here, this would just really be a call to action to your team to say, okay, we need to get a deposit. Now, one thing that happened, as you recall, I canceled the allocations and the workflow actually allocated this for me, which is great. So now I can go ahead and capture a deposit for this and feel really good about processing it further. I can't move it any further until I actually get the deposit. So let's go ahead and take a payment. In this case, we'll just take a full payment for the order. And this is a part of our notice integration. So, when we talk about processing the payment, what we're really doing here is looking to notice and pay Fabric to kind of manage this transaction so that you don't have to store any credit card information. It's just stored elsewhere so that you're in a good position so that you don't have to actually manage the security. You don't have to put yourself in a position that says, okay, I'm having to deal with customer information, right? So the payment was processed successfully. I'm good to go. And immediately, hey, I can move that to ready to pick. Nothing was back ordered, so it's not going to go to my back ordered queue. In this instance, it's just good to go forward this way. So let's go ahead and before I do that, just to kind of illustrate, I don't have any related documents yet. But if I submit this to ready to pick, one of the things that we're going to be doing in the background is actually generating the appropriate documents for you with our workflow engine. So there's a few different things that happened here automatically for you. One, it actually released the document, so users don't have to remember to go do this. They did their job, they got the deposit. Let's pass it along to the next person in line. From here, I can see the document is locked, right? So it's in read-only view. Nobody can actually manipulate this document quite yet. And what we did as a part of the workflow is generate the appropriate documents. So we generated the warehouse shipment. So your WMS system, whatever it is that you've chosen, can pick up this warehouse pick. The WMS knows exactly what it needs to do to fulfill the order. It's in a good position from there. Right. And then if you recall, we had an automated action that would be constantly evaluating whether or not the order has been fully picked. I'm not going to wait for 15 minutes for that to kind of trigger, but what this would do is really just say, okay, we're in a good position. This document could move forward automatically for you. In this case, I'll just do that manually, and it's going to be processed. And now it's shipping. And we could actually create the invoice for you. But again, you could do this manually, but we typically recommend that you do that through workflow. So that's kind of the order entry experience, what that's like, kind of seeing a document move through workflow. What we also have is kind of a really easy to use view about what's happening with your customers. So in this case, we've got a Datum corporation. We get just an immediate holistic view of what their orders are, what's the status of them. So if I get a customer and they call me and they ask me where 10-10-10 order number 10-10-10 is, I can say, hey, the inventory's been allocated, it's in ready to pick, you should be receiving that pretty soon, right? And I can get a little bit of a sneak peek into that to see my Paris guest chair. Hey, it looks like you ordered 3 Paris guest chairs. It's in ready to pick. You should be able to see that soon. If you want to go get the tracking information, you could choose to actually open up the order and view everything from there. One other component to this is really kind of the products view, which gives you kind of that visibility into your inventory, what do you have kind of across your warehouses, what open documents. So if you're asking yourself, all right, I've got an Athens desk, what orders have been allocated against for the Athens desk? And you could see exactly what's happening for this specific product, which gives you a lot of visibility into, what's working, what's not working from a sales standpoint. You can, of course, see the inventory, and you can see historical sales if you're kind of trying to evaluate that. One last kind of component of this before I kind of open it up for a couple other questions is really kind of just settings. Not the fanciest of features, but I think it's important to kind of highlight that you can gate access of Cavallo with our settings. So if you only want to allow certain users to do certain things in the system, you can of course do that. You can modify the email structure. You can, process payments. If you're actually going to be doing processing, how do you want those to be logged in Business Central? Well, you can select the general journal template as you see fit for your specific business. So that's kind of Cavallo as it pertains to Business Central. A couple of other things I wanted to kind of quick highlight is that everything that you saw today is available on AppSource. Super excited about the offering. We have 5 applications out on AppSource. So if you're ever curious or want to see, what is our actual, product ecosystem kind of look like, you could always go out to AppSource. Here's a QR code if you want to have access to that. But of course, you can go to AppSource and just type in Cavallo, and you're going to find all of them. From here, I'd love to open it up to Q&A, and Bob and I would be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Alex. Right now, I don't see any questions that have come through, but if anybody does have any, please go ahead and get them in the questions box and we can get them addressed.
We're certainly available. You can see both our email addresses on here. Should something come up after this presentation ends today, and of course, the folks at Innovia know how to get a hold of us. We are developing quickly for Business Central. We're creating performance outliers and really feel that our tools help your salespeople increase sales, have better visibility, and our workflow allows your processes to become very, very close to perfect. So we are pleased and hope that everybody can see the great efforts we're making and hopefully leverage these tools to increase sales and make a better top line for all your organizations.
All right, well said, Bob. All right, well, still no questions have come through. Thank you again, everyone, for attending, and thank you, Bob and Alex, for the presentation. I thought it went very well.
Thank you, it was fun. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks for having us, Angie. We do appreciate it.
You're welcome. And you can check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's innovia.com/events. And you can also check out our training workshop page at innovia.com/workshops. We have a variety of workshops to fit your role, so check out the ones that are right for you and your team. And if you haven't heard our latest Innovia Conversation podcast, we have a library of podcast episodes for you to listen to, and you can learn more on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So browse through our selection and subscribe so you won't miss a new episode. And we do have exciting news on our conferences in 2023. You can visit our conference page at innovia.com/conferences to learn more. We will be teaming up with Dynamics Con to be in Scottsdale, Arizona in May. So make sure you check out the details for both of those conferences. All right, well, we thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon on another Innovia webinar. Take care, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Angie. Take care.